Hi, I'm Eric,
And I'm Maddie.
and this is the Longbox Review comic book podcast. And welcome to our Heroes Con 2025 retrospective. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Maddie?
Yes, it was.
Well, I figured we would just let everybody know at the top of the show how we felt about Heroes Con. But we're going to be talking a lot more about Heroes Con 2025 and what we did there, who we saw, all the fun things that we experienced. But first, I wanted to remind everybody that coming up very soon, hopefully, if I got everything planned correctly, or remind everybody about the live Zoom chat that I have scheduled for July 27th. It's a Sunday, 2025 at 3 p.m. Pacific. And so if you go to longboxreview.com and look at the very first post there that's pinned to the front page, that gives you all the information. A Zoom link will be there for people to be able to access and then join me on July 27th at 3 p.m. Pacific. And Madison, you going to be there?
I plan on it. Depends on if I'm working.
That is very true. Very true. Yes. Well, no. You know you need to make sure you get that day off, or at least that afternoon off.
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, if like Madison, you have to work or otherwise busy that day, or that time, you can also email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. Any questions or comments that I can read live on the Zoom chat. So keep that in mind, add it to your calendars, tell your friends and neighbors, and come join me and maybe Madison and others on July 27th. And without further ado, Maddie, shall we talk about Heroes Con 2025?
Let's do it.
Okay. So the last time that I talked about Heroes Con was probably about 10 years ago. I think that I went in 2015 and I went by myself, probably because you were not at that time, you were not available to go because of the whole housing situation that we had going on back then.
Yep.
And you would have been, wait, how old are you now? You're still 18?
No, I am not.
You're 19. Yeah. So you
Yes,
would have
I
been
am.
9. You're going to be 20 this year?
Yes, I am.
Holy moly.
Leaving my teen years behind.
That's right. So yeah, you were 9 back then when I left. This was during Father's Day weekend. I remember this because I called you guys and talked to you that Sunday. Anyway, I went by myself. I had a great time. This is one of the best Comic Cons that I've ever been to. And I'm going to ask you that question next, Maddie. But I have been looking forward to going back for these last 10 years. And we decided this year that we would go. So you have been to essentially 2 Comic Cons, right? Emerald City and Rose City.
Yep.
And this is your first Comic Con that is not, I'll say, more or less local, right? Because those other 2 are in Washington and Oregon states.
They're within a decent driving distance, 6 to 8 hours away.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this is your first experience at a Comic Con that is, outside of our area, our immediate area, right?
Yeah.
So, what did you think of this? Just generally, I mean, we already said we both loved it, but how does it compare? What did you generally like about it? Do you have any critiques about it?
I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I like all the art, obviously. But I think I like Emerald City more.
Wow. Okay.
I really liked Heroes Con, but I think Emerald City is probably my favorite I've been to.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, I like how big Emerald City is, but I also like all the art and all the stuff that they had for like their separate area for the kids, and they have like things for everybody to do, and they just have so much, and I enjoy that.
Well, okay. So Heroes Con has a much applauded reputation for being a very comic book focused Comic Con.
Hmm.
You don't think that that is a plus necessarily? Is that what I'm understanding?
I mean, I like that, but I feel like when I go to Comic-Con, I'm more interested in looking at the art and kind of extra like little tables around Artist Alley and stuff like
So
that.
what your recollection of Emerald City is that they have more of that.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. You actually surprised me with that answer, Madison. I thought that you would think that this was the best Comic Con that you've ever been to. But before we go on, I assume that your answer is going to be the same. But you're really into cosplaying, and you cosplayed different characters for each day that we were there, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I assume that you're going to say that Emerald City has a better cosplay vibe to it. Is that fair?
Yes, because the cosplay community in Rose City and Emerald City, from what I remember, is a lot more prominent than it was at Heroes Con. I mean, obviously, I saw a few people who were cosplaying, but not as much as I enjoy with the other cons.
Hmm. All right. Well, I mean that's fair. That's from your point of view, your experiences. I just like I did 10 years ago. I love this show. In fact, I remember when we walked in to the convention floor and we were going down the escalator and we got down to the entryway of the con. At some point there, I turned to you and said something along the lines of, I haven't been all that excited about the Comic Cons that we've been going to. And granted, we haven't been to Emerald City in years. We've been going mostly to Rose City because one, it's a little cheaper to do, and we couldn't afford to go to both in the same year. So we've been doing Rose City. But I remember when we were done with that, I was like, well, I don't know. Rose City's just, I guess I've been to it enough that I was kind of bored with it. And I was thinking, I don't know that I really need to go to any more Comic Cons, with the exception of Emerald City, because you really want to go back.
I
So I
really,
said
really want to go back.
we would go back to that one at some point.
Hmm.
But then we went to Heroes Con, like I said, and I turned to you at one point and said, I feel excited again
Hmm.
because I was at this show, and part of that's nostalgia for my one and only trip at that point to it, but just being there on the show floor, seeing everybody walking around. When we walked around, looking at all the artists there and the vendors and whatnot, seeing the other cosplayers, seeing you being approached, especially when it was the little kids coming up and wanting to take your picture, or you getting compliments. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, that was fun. And then it's like normally like you would get compliments from like the people in the booth. But that first day, yeah, I had two people come out of their booths so they could get a picture with me in that cosplay for the first day.
Yeah. Oh, and that was another neat thing that we were able to do together because, now that you're old enough, we could split up,
Yeah.
and I could do some things, and you could do some things, and you had some experiences that I'm hoping that you'll talk about. As well as what I went through. So let's, with our kind of general assessment of Heroes Con. Like I said, you surprised me. I thought you'd be a lot more positive and excited about Heroes Con than it sounds like.
I really enjoyed it. It was fun, but I like how big Emerald City is. And again, I like the cosplay community that's at that Comic Con. So,
All right. Well, let's get to it, and at some point, Madison, we're gonna circle around to food as well because we're gonna talk about that. But anyway, because we get there Thursday, and we get to our hotel. I forget, it was after 3, like 4, maybe 4 o'clock or so when we got to the
yeah.
hotel. Yeah, and then we got checked in and had well, I let's just talk about the dinner part now. Our Thursday night dinner, and I want to point this out because there's some good food in the area of the convention center in Charlotte. And Madison wanted to go to what was it, Jinya Ramen?
Yeah, it was just a ramen place.
Mm-hmm. That was like a block and a half away from the hotel.
Hmm.
And I've actually never been to a ramen place before. And so it was an adventure and it was really good. It was very good, in
It was
fact.
our best meal there.
Yeah. I had not only did I have one of the ramen bowls, I forget, it was a spicy chicken ramen bowl.
Yeah.
And I had spicy tuna tacos, I think it was, as a starter.
Yeah, you did. I remember that.
Oh, so good. But yeah, it was really good.
I can't remember which one I got.
You
I
got
just
some
know
sort
I
of.
liked it.
It was a beef. It was a beef one.
Yeah.
Oh, a birria beef
Yes.
ramen. Yeah, I like mine better, but but it was really good. One of the more interesting things about that dinner was that we were sitting right next to, like, a foot away at the next table or so. There were 3 or 4 people,
4.
gentlemen at the table talking, and I can hear them because they're right next to me. It's not like I was trying to eavesdrop or anything.
No, I was listening to their conversation. I was fully listening.
Well, but they were saying things that there's, catching my attention. Like, what are you guys talking about? Comics? Are you guys talking about art? And they
They were
were.
talking about working for DC
Yeah,
and Marvel and kind of doing their own thing. And yeah,
exactly. And I think it was the next day or maybe even Saturday when
it
we were
was
walking
Saturday.
around and we saw at least a couple of them as we're walking the show floor because they were manning booths.
Hmm.
That because they are the artists for whatever, I forget what stuff they were working on. But
Yeah.
that was really interesting that we come there for the Comic-Con and we see or we hear these people talking about comics, talking about art, and they happen to be part of the show. Which, I mean, it's not really that unexpected if you're going to a restaurant in the area to not to run into some folks. I think I did. I think I saw. I'm forgetting now. Was it Dan Jurgens? Maybe when I came into the lobby of the hotel at one point. I think I saw Dan Jurgens. Definitely saw Ben Templesmith for sure. One time when I came down. But so yeah, you can see or run into a lot of these folks. But so anyway, okay, so there's that, and then Friday like I said, we get on the show floor, and this is our usual thing: is that we get on the a Comic-Con show floor, and the first thing that we do, Madison, is what?
We have our walkthrough of Artist Alley. Normally, I will stop at a lot of the booths and start looking, but this time I decided to kind of just peek at the booths while we're walking through and then make my way back after.
Yeah, it was just real quick, and I felt like like I was at a high speed tennis match because my head was going back and forth as we're walking by each booth just to see whose booth it was, what their art was like, what is this something I want to come back to, and we made it through. I want to say I'll say 2/3 of the show floor before I went to my first panel.
Yep.
That I wanted to go to. And that panel was Podcasting 101 with the couple from Comic Book Couples Counseling, and then the Rad Adventures podcast with Ruth and Darren. One of the gentlemen from Marvel Reread Club was there, and it was hosted by Terrence Dollard of Comic Culture on PBS. So I did that. Podcasting 101 panel was really fun. I've been doing this for a long time now, but even I learned a few new, tricks, I guess, or tips from the hosts that were the folks on the panel, and it was just really cool to see the faces to the voices I've been listening to, off and on over the years. So that was really cool. But you didn't want to go to that,
No,
even though you tell me all the time that you're going to take over my podcast at some point.
I will.
So, but what did you do?
Instead, I walked through the area of Artist Alley that we had already gone through, and I looked more at the actual art. Like I stopped at booths and checked out some stuff, bought some prints, and started talking to some of the people running some of the tables. Had some people come up to me, ask for pictures, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember specifically what was something that you bought during that time?
I do not know which ones I bought which days. I just know I bought a lot.
Or, any of the names of the people that you stopped at or talked to?
No, because I talked to so many people over the weekend.
Yeah. Because we're recording this a week after we got back from the con. So it's been a while. And I'm not going to remember every person I've talked to during the con. But one person we did talk to after we had lunch was because that at that point we went back and toured the other third of the show floor, and we got to talk to Mr. Greg Schiegel.
I was gonna say that's who I remember talking to the most because I talk to him every day.
Every day, sometimes twice a day.
No, most of the time it was twice a day because I would go talk to him when you were at your panels because I didn't know what to do.
That's right. But yeah, because I read in his newsletter that he was going to be there, so I wanted to go chat with him, and also I commissioned him to do me a drawing of Dick Grayson Robin. So I had to go pick that up. And so, that it was just a wonderful thing. I've had Greg on the show. You have talked to Greg on Meanwhile the podcast at one point, right? So you guys have had this conversation as well. And so we just all got to meet together. And I thought that was really special.
Yep.
You ended up getting, what was it, Jeff the Land Shark?
Yes. I've got he did a drawing of Jeff and I went back and bought it at the end of the day.
Yeah, so we did that. Going through the rest of that, while I was walking around, I found Terrence Dollard, his booth for Comic Culture, and I just wanted to stop by and tell him he did a great job at hosting the whole thing, because it was like it's podcasting 101, and so he did a really good job of talking about the basics of podcasting, just in case there were people in the audience who were interested in starting a podcast or even just finding out more about what a podcast is. And so there's a lot of basic 101 type information about podcasting. And so I thought, and then also they got into, more advanced type stuff, including in terms of, promoting your podcast, which is actually why I wanted to attend that panel in the first place, was to see how these other folks approach that subject, see if there's anything that, again, I could learn. Anyway, I stopped and talked to him to compliment his work as a host. And during the course of that, he asked me if he could talk to me. And so I got interviewed by him in his little booth. I don't know if that's going to, be shown in a future episode of Comic Culture, but I'd be tickled pink if it were. But we need to rewind. Since I've introduced this concept, Maddie, I need to rewind, because at one point we were stopped by a person who was interviewing people on the show floor. And I thought that she was part of the con itself.
We both did.
And then after I talked to Terrence, I thought, oh, she must be part of Comic Culture. Anyway, she stopped to talk to you. She wanted to talk to you. And what was it? Do you remember what exactly she asked you about?
So when she stopped me, she asked if she could interview me really quick. And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? And she asked me who my favorite female heroes are, just like in general. And so the two that came to my head were Batgirl and Raven. more kind of outsider characters in a sense. I like the more kind of loner outside characters who have a different kind of perspective than others, I guess.
And what was really interesting about it is that what was it, 2 days ago, as of this recording, Heroes Con on Facebook reposted a local news channel's post of that interview.
Yep.
Not just you, but a bunch of other folks as well on the show floor, and that's when we found out. Oh, she's a reporter for this news station. And so I'm watching this video. Then, like a minute later in the report, there you pop up. And I'm like, oh my God.
Maddie on the news.
Yes, Maddie on the local Charlotte news. I thought that was so cool to see that. So, it's kind of surreal because I was there while they were interviewing you. And like I said, we were thinking it was this thing and it was that thing, and it turned out to be this thing. And there you are on the local news. So that
was on the TV.
That was really cool. Yeah. And then basically we just kind of walked, like I said, we walked around all the show floor. I think we even started again by the end of the day.
Yeah, because we started again, and that time we actually like stopped at a lot more booths.
That's when we started. Let's start stopping and examining and buying. Maddie and I are talking about doing a YouTube video for the Longbox Review channel there to show off the things. But I am going to mention the stuff that I bought here, so people, if they hear this and they don't check out the YouTube video, they'll know if it sounds interesting, they can check this out. But I got Sidekick. It's called Sidekick for Hire by Herrera, Alves, Greenhall, and Rakakote. I think I talked to the writer of this, and I'm big into sidekicks, and so that immediately drew me in. The back of the book blurb says, "Who doesn't want to be a superhero? Leonardo Mosher does. Unfortunately, he's a broke college student and not a billionaire playboy who can go around funding his cape crusades like most of the heroes in the city. However, Leo realizes all these superheroes are missing one important piece when fighting crime: a sidekick. And so he becomes the first ever sidekick for hire. No adoption necessary," it says. So that sounded pretty cool to me. Then there's the Minutes to Midnight, the hour between life and death. It is a anthology. I talked to the author of this, Fernando's Linkovich, and I think Ryan Best is one of the artists, and they both signed it. This is just, there's no back of the book blurb, but it looked interesting.
Yeah.
And then I kept seeing this one sign call for Unstoppable Tough Girl that we walked by a few times that day. And this is by, I talked to the author. Oh, no, sorry, the artist, Brian Mon. And he described it as kind of a love letter to the Silver Age. So I was really curious, what that meant in terms of this unstoppable tough girl. And there's a lot more into it, or in these books too. They got little kid comic type stuff, like Richie Rich style type things. And so I just thought that was a neat idea to include, a few different things in these comics.
Yeah.
I think there's even how to draw the characters. And I thought I saw I'm flipping through real quick. Oh yeah, here is totally useful fun facts, range of trajectory, and there's all this math for figuring out trajectory. Anyway, it looked really cool, so I got it. And then finally, oh no, not finally, there was this one artist, Ethan Lynn, I think it was. This is the one, Madison, that had the cassette.
Oh, yeah.
And then the film roll.
Yep.
And Madison got this, right? You got the film roll where you pull it out.
You pull it out, and
it's a comic, a vertical comic. that
Yes.
they converted out of a film role or somehow it did something like that. Anyway,
I got that and a Spider-Man Friends print.
yeah, he and his I think his artistic partner there, or their friends or whatever,
Yeah.
they do these interesting artistic mashups. And one of the things that I looked at that I got from Mr. Lin was this 4-page. It's literally a 4-page comic of an interpretation of the song Moon River by way of Breakfast at Tiffany's, starring Audrey Hepburn. And you know how much of an Audrey Hepburn fan I am. So I had to get that.
Yeah.
I think there's a werewolf in this and Elvis Presley. Yeah, that's bonkers, man.
It's really fun.
And then finally, boy, let me say, let me preface this by saying there were a couple folks there that were, well, more than a couple. There were several folks there that were really, I don't want to say pushy, but they were really confident. How about that? In trying to sell their wares
Yeah.
to us, right? There was one guy I bought something from. I can't remember which thing it was, and it was Saturday. But he's like, "Do you like comic books?" Well, yeah. I mean, I'm at a Comic Con. I'm at the comic book Comic Con, so yeah, I like comic books.
Yeah, because I bought stuff from him too, I think.
But I didn't mind that. But there was one guy who I bought I did buy the comic. It's called Calico. Here Comes Calico. But it was mostly because I was interested. I was looking over at his booth because the art looked interesting. So this is by Sigma Comics, and they're supporting the Catskill Animal Sanctuary. So this is very much a pro animal rights comic book. And so I thought it was interesting. But man, that guy, I think he sounded like he was from New York or New Jersey or something.
Yeah.
But he was very persuasive. How about that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I bought that as well. Is there anything else you remember that you bought that day that you want to bring up?
No, because I didn't remember what I bought that day. The only reason why I remember I got that film strip and print that day is because of you saying we did stop there that day. I didn't remember when we did that, so
All right.
I bought too much stuff to remember.
Yeah, you did. Madison certainly certainly did buy a lot of stuff.
But it's worth it. Art is worth it.
Supporting art and artists is worth it. You are absolutely correct. Within your own means, though, Madison, struggling college student.
It's fine. I paid for my stuff.
Anyway, so that we ended our day by getting dinner nearby at a Mexican place where they had live music, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
And boy, did that beer with dinner taste so good after a whole day of being on the show floor.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay. So Saturday comes around, and Saturday, this would be June 21st, 2025. And I just want to say before we get into the Heroes Con coverage, happy belated birthday to my buddy Travis, because that's his birthday day. I mean, I told him happy birthday that day anyway, but I wanted to let everybody know that if you want, just go to Oddfellows Thoughts on Blue Sky and wish Travis a belated happy birthday when you hear this, because I think that'd be kind of fun if people did that. And longtime listeners will remember Travis having been on the show many, 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 many times. And I hope to have him back again in the near future. So anyway, we start our day on Saturday by walking the show floor, just wherever we thought we left off.
Yep.
And then I went to a couple panels, one in the afternoon and the other later in the afternoon. Oh, but before I get into that, I wanted to mention there were some panels on Friday that I wanted to go to, but I ended up not going because we were just having a lot of fun walking around doing stuff.
Yeah.
Or they were at the same time as another panel. So one of the panels that I wanted to go to was Remembering Martin Nodell, the creator of Green Lantern, and Comics Editing 101. That was the one I missed intentionally because we were walking around. But that was comic editor Shelley Bond was going to talk about comic book. What does a comic book editor do? And I find that job fascinating. I think I could do it too. But anyway, and then there was another one. All right, at 2:30, there was collecting original comic art that I thought you and I would both enjoy, but we didn't. We ended up not going to that one.
Didn't we just forget?
Yes, and I don't remember why.
We were focused and we were doing stuff, and then we realized it was past that time, or like we wouldn't be able to make it on time. So
and then there was another one. What's going to happen to my cool stuff? Tips on preparing your comics and other collectibles for your beloved heirs. Looking at you, kid.
I already told you I'm taking that stuff.
Yeah. And then there was one I really was disappointed at missing, which was at the end of near the end of the day. It was about Alex Toth, a celebration. Just talking about legendary artist. So, yeah, missed out. But then on Saturday, so the thing that I wanted to go to was, and this is going to be part of the ongoing conversation about Heroes Con. It was a quick sketch with Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Kevin Nolan, Paul Pelletier, and Bill Morrison. When we walked in, nobody was saying anything. Nobody was doing anything. I did not see Garcia Lopez there. I saw somebody else at the thing, but my view was a little blocked. But also, I think I heard them say that they're having technical difficulties. But I really wanted to see, especially Garcia Lopez, draw during that thing. But anyway, the one I did go to, which was around lunchtime, was the cover artist spotlight. This is the other one that was hosted by Terrence Dollard. But on the panel was Jenny Frison, which is the main reason I wanted to go to that one. Yeah. Jay Gonzo, Maria Wolf, John Glang, and Jeffrey Allen Love were there as well. And it was you would have liked this one, Madison.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't go to that one.
Really interesting conversation about art and how they approach things and what their motivation is and what their inspirations are. And so it was just really cool to listen to these creative people talk about what makes good cover art and what goes into it, for them. And they started asking each other questions. Because they were fascinated by what this person did versus what they do. So I thought that was a really, really cool one. So there was that. The other panel that I went to that day. Oh, what were you doing during that time while you were waiting for me to be done with that?
Wandering around Artist Alley some more. And then at one point, when I got tired, I just went and sat on the floor. We're talking about Saturday, so that's also the day where I had a lot of the younger kids come up to me and ask for pictures or get really excited about the cosplay and stuff. So, in between all this, getting lunch as well, but between the panels, we would just continue to walk around and look at stuff and buy stuff, which we'll get to. But the last panel that I attended that day was the Daniel Warren Johnson and Nick Dragotta spotlight, basically, and just the two of them again talking about their art. And you went to that one. Yeah, I was at that one.
I think you were tired. Yeah.
You
just wanted to sit down.
I didn't want to sit on the floor again, so I came with you to that one.
So that was really cool. It was hosted by Felix Comic Arts, Felix Liu. And it's just a wonderful conversation between these two artists, and again, how they do things, why they do things, that kind of stuff. Just find that stuff really fascinating.
Yeah.
There was another panel at the same time, obviously, that I could not go to, but I wanted to mention it because it's another podcast one, and I just love seeing a couple podcast panels at a Comic-Con, because when we first started going to Emerald City and then Rose City, then there were, more podcasting panels or podcasting panels were more prevalent back then. And that's kind of dropped off like dramatically to the point where I no longer see podcast panels being offered like at the last few Rose Cities that we went to, for example.
Yeah.
This is one that they had is a live podcast show, The Short Box and Comics Are Dope crossover, it says. I am familiar with the Short Box podcast, not the other one. So I kind of wanted to go to that, but obviously listening to Daniel Warren Johnson and Nick Dragotta talk about art was much more interesting to me. So
I like listening to artists talk about their process and the way they think about it. I think that's always fun.
when you attend such panels, do you ever want to ask questions?
No, because they normally answer whatever I would think anyways.
Oh, okay.
And they were asking each other a lot of the questions that I would think of, like, oh yeah, what is your process? Or like, what makes you think about it? And this and that. Like, because they were just talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, in my experience, not all artists are as talkative as some of the folks that I witnessed during that weekend. Usually the host has to, or the panel moderator has to draw out a little bit more, but pardon the pun. Anyway, so again, we walked the show floor and bought some stuff. So I bought some prints from Rich Bernatovic.
yes.
And so Bernatovic is the author of the Sentinels books that I bought some years ago. I bought like 3 or 4 trade collections from him at either Emerald City or Rose City. I forget which one. But there were a couple anthologies that I had not purchased yet. And so I was able to get those. And those prints, God, I love these prints because he did these special group prints. So there's one is like Legion of Superheroes in his style. So it's just all these Legionnaires in flying through space, which I thought was really cool. And then the Teen Titans one that I bought, he did the different eras of the Teen Titans in these strips that were all stacked on each other. And I thought that was a really cool idea. You got some stuff from him too, didn't you?
I bought like 8 things from him. Yeah.
Well, do you remember what they were?
Yeah. So I bought like the Raven like drip, a Death one, a Storm one, and then who was the other one? Can't remember. Let me look. I think it might have been Batgirl. And then I got some smaller prints. I got the Nightwing one, which I gave to you.
Mm-hmm, thank you.
I got Crypto.
I don't remember the Crypto
and
one.
2 more. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well, you could show it to me later.
They're over here. I can't remember though which ones exactly I got because I got so much stuff.
We'll see each other's stuff when we do that YouTube video.
Yeah, that'll be in the YouTube video.
Another thing or another artist that we really wanted to go see, because we saw her as we were walking around initially on Friday.
Yeah.
You remember her, right? And you do, which is Chrissy Zulu.
Yes. I follow her on Instagram and I love her art.
I adore her art. Yeah. And anyway, we wanted to stop there and you got some stuff, I think some stickers and,
yes, I got some stickers and some print.
And she happened to have, oh no, she had a print or something that I wanted, but she was out of them.
It was a Crypto print.
Was it? Okay. But what she did have was a Crypto variant cover of the Summer of Superman special. And so I'm like, well, I'll just take that because that's, I read that comic digitally, but I really enjoyed it. And now I have a copy of it in my collection with this fabulous Crypto as drawn by Chrissy Zulu. And she drew a dog paw print on it.
Yes.
On the cover. I thought that was just adorable. Let's see here. So part of, walking around Friday into Saturday, one thing I'm doing, I mentioned Jose Luis Garcia Lopez earlier, right?
Yes.
And he was one of the people that I absolutely had to talk to. I had to stop by his table and talk to him. Unfortunately, walking around, I never saw him. And so that was Friday. And then, Saturday morning before we go to the con, I'm even looking, okay, he's at table, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And we went to that table and he wasn't there. No signage, nothing. The table number that they had put in the program for Garcia Lopez, there was nothing there. I'm like, wait a minute, did he pull out last minute? He couldn't attend?
Yeah, that's what you thought because he wasn't in that panel and then we couldn't find him because
Right.
both of us had been looking all weekend.
Yes. So there was that. And then, okay, now the other part of this is that I really wanted to buy a sketchbook from, not a sketchbook. What do they call that? What do the artists call those when they,
Portfolios.
no,
It's a sketchbook, art book.
it's art book. Yeah, that's what I'm looking. So Jenny Frison had an art book at her table. I noticed, and I wanted to get it. Only Jenny Frison's line was super long all the time.
Yep.
And so I kept going, I don't, because either I had to go to a panel and I didn't want to stand in line and then have to leave, or we were busy just kind of walking around doing stuff.
And the line just kept getting longer.
Well, and that's just it. I kept thinking, I'll just come back when the line's shorter, and it was never shorter. So finally, I think it was late afternoon on Saturday, and I didn't have. I can't remember if it was after that last panel that I talked about earlier that I went to, or before it.
It was after because
Was it?
we were gonna go get in line, and then you were like changing your mind, and I was like, no, we're right here. Let's just do it. The line's not gonna get any shorter.
Yeah.
And so we just did.
Well, and I'm glad you pushed me to do that because we're standing there. I'm waiting in line. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's fine. And at one point, I look over to my right, and who the hell is to my right at this table? That's not the same table that he was supposed to be at, but freaking Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. And only two people were at his table talking to him. And I'm like, what the F? I mean, don't get me wrong. You and I both love Jenny Frison's cover artwork, right?
Yeah.
And waiting to talk to her in line, I don't mind that. But she has this huge long line all weekend long, and Garcia Lopez does not. There's something wrong with that in my mind. And I know you're not as familiar with his work or its importance to superhero comics in general, but I am, and I think that was a bit of a travesty. If you don't mind me saying that, listeners. So.
Good. So yeah, you were very, very adamant about that one.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Madison, as soon as we're done with Frison, we're coming right back here, which we did. And so we patiently waited in line. I got to talk to Jenny Frison, let her know how much I really appreciated her work. And as we get up there, she no longer has those art books. And I'm like, oh.
Everything you wanted kept getting sold out.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with waiting, right? Maybe we should change our tactic next time we go to a Comic-Con.
That's why I just buy things when I like them.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm more conservative. I'm like, well, I might want something more expensive, and I try to keep to a budget, unlike some people on this podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we get up there, and there's this box, I think, of stuff. And the first thing I see is like, oh my God, I got to have that. And then you reach for it. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I was looking at the covers and I saw it and I grabbed it because I was like, oh, I really like that. Because I was looking and you were like, no, that's mine. And I was like, I found it.
I found it.
I found it.
I found it.
No, I found it and I grabbed it first.
You did grab it first. You're right. Because I was listening in on the conversation of the people before us, and I was scanning her table, trying to figure out the whole art book situation. But I did see it, and I told myself I was going to buy that, but then you grabbed it. But anyway, so we talked about it, and Madison graciously let me have it. But it was a variant cover depicting Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. and she signed it. Like I said, I told her how much I appreciated her work. And then her husband was there helping her. And I told her that I was giving my vote toward what her husband wants her to do, which she revealed at that cover panel, which is to have her do a cover or a print or something of the DC Comics character Dolphin, basically recreating that cover of her first appearance, which I forget what that was on. And so I told her, I'm like, I'm totally on board. I vote for that. And the husband's like, see, people do want this.
Yeah, because she said he didn't know about that, and you were like, "Oops."
Yeah, well, but because like I said, during that cover artist panel, she just brought it up. It's like my husband keeps telling me I should do this, and then she took a vote, a straw poll in the panel, and most of the people raised their hands. So anyway, but she had not told her husband that situation. So I thought that was really funny. But okay, so even though I stole your Buffy cover, you did end up getting something that was actually even more expensive, which was
it was a more kind of, I don't want to say holographic because it wasn't really holographic, but it was like a Harley Quinn like silver cover with like her and a bunch of stuff on it.
I believe they're referred to as foil variants.
Yeah.
But I think it was a Heroes Con exclusive. I'll have to look at that when we do the YouTube video.
Yeah, but I got that.
But then, like I said, as promised, we went right back to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez's table and had to stand in line for that. but he had a portfolio out, and people were flipping through it, and you could buy some art. You can just have him sign some stuff, that's the one thing I regretted not bringing, is a few comics to have certain people sign. A lot of people were doing that. And in fact, this is, okay, I'm going to get on a soapbox now, Madison. I'm going to ask your opinion about this.
Okay.
So it's one thing to bring one or two things to have a person sign. You love their work, writer, artist, colorist, letterer, inker, whatever. But to bring a whole stack of things or a box of things, and I've heard of this at other conventions where people bring a short box just for one person to sign, which I think is ridiculous. I don't think it's fair to the people waiting in line behind you. I don't think it's fair to the creator that you're having sign all this stuff. So anyway, what do you think about that situation?
No, because I agree. I think like bringing or two things is fine because that's normally what I would do too. But yeah, that's a little extreme.
And that wasn't the situation with Garcia Lopez. I wasn't waiting for a bunch of people or a few people to have him sign a bunch of things. But what I did see as I was about to talk with him, and this is after I've already gone through the portfolio, there is a sketch that he did in pencil. And like I said, when we do that YouTube video, people should check that out because this is one of the coolest sketches that I've ever seen. But it was a concept sketch for the series Twilight that DC Comics put out several years ago of his. And I mentioned that because not just for the print, but because when I bought it, he signed it at the bottom and he asked me if I'd read it, if I have that book. And I'm like, oh yes, I do. But that I was able, again, I was able to tell him how much his work meant to me as a comic book fan, as someone who started out reading comic books, and his was the art that I started recognizing more than anybody else. I would see his work in this comic book and that comic book and on merchandising material. And I was like, wait a minute. This all looks similar. It's by the same guy. And then I found out later, oh yeah, it is the same guy. And it's Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. So that was a highlight. I was over the moon. You remember how excited I was for that after that
was
encounter?
Really funny. Well, it's because we've spent so long looking for him and we couldn't find him, and then we finally did. But I just wish I had, cash or whatever, so I could have gotten that one that I liked, but whatever.
Wait, do you remember what that was though?
No. I just
Mr.
remember I really liked it. No, I do. It was a Catwoman pencil sketch.
Oh, right.
Hmm.
And I think we just walked the show floor for the most part, until we left.
Hmm.
But so that was Saturday, and then Sunday. So let me ask you this, Madison.
Hmm.
We ended up walking that show floor, I want to say, at least 3 times, probably closer to four.
I was gonna say when I was with you, it was closer to four. When I was by myself, I walked it like 10 times.
No, you
Well, I
didn't.
know I was being dramatic, but I walked up and down that so many times. I've passed at least one person over 6 times.
So, do you feel like that Heroes Con is is really a 2 day show, not a 3 day show?
And I think it's fine to be a 3-day show, especially if you want to like go buy something like one last minute decision kind of thing. But it's not like Emerald City. You don't need that much time. It's very, very small. It's smaller than Portland's.
Sure, but you know what that affords us, and we talked about this on that first day. It's so nice because everything's so spaced out.
That is true.
You know, the aisle size,
Hmm.
you're not elbow to elbow with the person that is walking beside you. I love that.
I'm not swept away by the crowd.
Yeah. Which is what you experience at Emerald City especially.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I like having the bigger. I think that's partly why I like Emerald City so much is because of how big it is and there's so much to do. I think that's because that's what I'm used to. It was weird being able to go through Heroes Con so quickly.
Mhm. So do you feel like that is an overall negative about the show, or do you find any of that find that particular part of it a plus in any way? Because I do.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. It's just because I'm so used to the bigger shows where there's a lot more. I think it was just like I think that's partly why I got through it so quickly is because I kind of rushed through it.
Hmm.
And then I was like, oh, well, now I've seen everything like many, many times. So I'm just looking at the same thing over and over again. Um, but I think that was like, it's not like a bad thing, but it's like, it's definitely different than what I'm used to.
Yeah. Well, but that I think, and I think you've touched on this a little bit, but that allowed us to go back to certain artists and get things that we were either thinking about getting but weren't sure. Well, I think actually it's probably mostly that, right? So,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about in a minute. But I wanted to mention this being Heroes Con and comic book focused. Another thing I love about Heroes Con is that there are a ton of comic book vendors.
Even though you couldn't find anything you were looking
That's
for.
true, but you know, my want list is very very small these days. So what I saw, even though, like I said, there are a lot of them, is that it's mostly silver and Bronze Age comics that they're selling, and mostly
Yeah.
Marvel and DC. Now, I'm sure there were exceptions to the rule. I mean, I saw indie books there, but they were usually relegated to, a few boxes in comparison. And so what I was looking for were not those things. And
Yeah.
nobody that I saw had them. But we did spend a significant amount of time, probably about 2 hours on Saturday afternoon, looking for what I was wanting to find.
Yeah.
So, but that was nice. I got to go through some things and I almost bought some more stuff comic book wise, but I
You
decided
should have.
in the end not to. Yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have. But we had flown to Charlotte with carry-on luggage, and I did not want to buy so much stuff that it would not fit or fit well in my suitcase. And I didn't want to,
I had a duffel bag.
I'm not going to check stuff. I'm done checking bags, even if it's just clothes. We did, and part of that, dear listeners, is that because when we went to Europe, I checked my carry-on bag and it got lost in the shuffle.
Oh, yeah, that was really annoying.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
No, because my duffel bag that had everything that I had gotten also got lost.
Right. Could you imagine all that stuff you put in there? What if it was actually lost?
I would have been so mad because I
Yeah.
spent so much money.
Yes, exactly. So, like I said, Sunday, again, we walked the show floor. We probably walked the show floor at least twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
But that allowed me to buy a bunch of stuff. For example, I bought at the Tomorrow's table, I bought a back issue, the Not Ready for Primetime DC Heroes issue, which is an issue that I intended to buy, but for some reason didn't at the time. There was those wonderful dragon prints, which
Yes.
this guy was selling 5, and he called them a flight of dragons, which I thought that is such a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
And I complimented on him. He's like, "Oh, thank you. Nobody said anything about that." And I thought, well, maybe I should have named it something else. Or and I'm like, no, this is perfect.
Yeah. I really like his art. I would buy
Oh yeah,
all of it. I love the mythical creature thing that he was doing. It was really, really cool.
he had prints on a bunch of cryptids, some like witches,
Forest nymphs, ocean, water.
so much stuff. So yeah, I can't wait to show those off and buy more things from him. So I'll have to go online and see if what he has available and how much it is, because that stuff was just awesome.
Yeah, I definitely should go buy some stuff from him. I just didn't.
And the couple other like a Raven and Dragon print mini prints that I got from this one vendor that we stopped by a few times.
Yeah.
You got some stuff from that person too.
Did I?
Yeah. Again, I guess people have to tune in on the YouTube video once Madison figures out what it was that she bought. But speaking of buying things for you, was that the day or was it Saturday that you bought the other Jeff?
It was that day because it was at the very, very end of con when everybody was already kind of starting to take down their tables and stuff. I went and bought that other one.
Yeah, from Mr. Shiegel, right?
Yes.
And then we also stopped by. I really wanted to stop by Gavin Guidry's booth and talk to him because he's one of my favorites now too. And you were looking through his art pages for comic art pages, and you found a Birds of Prey page that you really wanted.
Really, really wanted it because it wasn't. I feel like with my generation, especially, most of the Birds of Prey that everybody knows is Harley Quinn and like the movie version, which isn't the Birds of Prey. So when I found that one, I really, really liked it because I liked the characters and I liked the way that he did it and the way they looked.
It was almost like a cover page, but it wasn't. Because there was one panel at the top and then it's big panel at the bottom featuring all of those major characters. And he was selling it. He was going to sell it to you at a slight discount. And I told Maddie later, after we walked away, that would be a steal. Anyway, so you decided not to get that page.
Still want it though.
I kind of wish I had bought it myself.
If you did, I would have taken that from you.
Yeah, after I die, you can have it.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting all your comic and art after that, so.
You think you are. But what I wanted was a cover page from, I can't remember, I think it was Justice League or...
Yes.
But it featured a bunch of the Justice League characters. And so I finally went back again and asked him how much for that. And I was thinking, a little bit more than what he told you for the page that you wanted. And then I go back and it is more like 3 times what I was thinking. And I'm like, nope, I can't justify that. But I really wanted that page. But it was really nice talking to him. If people have a chance to talk to Mr. Guidry and buy some art from him, he'll probably make you a deal, like he tried to do with Maddie. So I did make it to one panel that day, which was the Superman retrospective with Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding.
I was gonna say because we went and got lunch and then I went back to the hotel and changed because I was getting so overheated in my cosplay and then I met up with you at that panel.
Right. Oh wait, you mentioned you were Raven cosplaying on Friday. What did you cosplay on Saturday?
No, because Saturday was when I was Raven. I didn't say what my cosplays
You
were.
didn't. Yes. So let's pause here and talk about a bit about your cosplay stuff.
Yes. So yeah, the first day, which was the day that like the people who were running some of the tables like came out of their booths and were getting pictures with me and stuff and talking to me about the character. And I was Jinx from Arcane League of Legends. And so that character is a very, very popular character right now. I saw a couple other people cosplaying them, and then I saw no, one of the people who came out of her booth, she was talking to me about how much her and her son really liked the character in the show and like how they named their cat Jinx after her, which I thought was really funny. Then Saturday is when I had most of the like younger kids and stuff come up to me asking to like get pictures or just talking to me. And that was when I was Raven, which is when we bought the other stuff and from Rich, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he got a picture of me because I got the Raven print of his, which is up on his Instagram. I had to check that. And then day 3 was when I went as Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, and that's when I went and changed into my amazing t-shirts that I bought.
Well, yeah. Okay. So talk about those t-shirts.
So they're trauma t-shirts. So I got one that's like a gray one that has the bat symbol on it, and on the inside of it it says ain't no party like a Batman party because the Batman party had got no parents. And then I have blue one that has the scene from Neverending Story where I can't remember what the kid's name is, but he's trying to pull the horse out of the mud, and it on that shirt it says emotional support animal. And then the third one I got is more of a purple one, and that one has the scene with Spider-Man and Gwen when she's like falling. And I can't remember exactly what that one says. I think what it says is if you love something, let them go. Some good shirts.
Yeah, they were really good sellers too because they're just like, do you know this? Hey, look at this one here. What about I didn't feel like I was being pressured or anything. I was just amused by the way that or their selling technique.
They need to come to Emerald or Rose City Comic Cons because I really want to buy so many more shirts from them. I would have gotten more, but
Yeah, and the shirts are they're different from everything else that I've ever
they're
seen.
they're so bad, but they're so funny.
Yes, so bad but so funny. Exactly, exactly. You want to hear about something that's so bad and not so funny? That's a horrible transition, but I wanted to get back to the panel I went to, the Superman retrospective. It was interesting to hear these two legends associated with Superman talk about like the death of Superman and reign of the Superman stuff. But they got into some stuff that I felt like their viewpoints were kind of the get off my lawn type. It's like, for example,
That's an interesting way to describe it.
yeah, Dan Jurgens is like he made a comment about there's too many super people in the Superman books. I don't remember if it was Dan or Brett who said something about no kid. There should be no kid involved. I think I may be wrong about that one. Dan did specifically say Superman would never let Lex wear the S. And I don't know if he was talking about the storyline where Lex Luthor is actually wearing the S shield, and he's trying to show that he is a better Superman than Superman, which I thought was a really interesting take on the character and their relationship, the Lex's and Superman's relationship. But so I felt that Dan was a little too much yelling at the kid on the sidewalk type of person in that panel. So, but if anybody was there at the same time I was, and you have a different perspective, I'd love to hear from you about that, because I went into it. I was really excited to hear these two icons talk about their association with Superman, and then I came out of it like, oh, old people suck. Of which I count myself one of them, because I sometimes I can be get off my lawn, right, Maddie?
An old person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of the panels that I actually did want to go to on Sunday and did not, I kind of regret that now, because one of them was a spotlight on Jim Shooter, whom has passed. As of yesterday, I saw the news that Jim Shooter, the legendary and perhaps infamous Jim Shooter, died. I think he was 74. So there's that. I wish I'd gone to that now.
Why didn't you?
Honestly, I forgot.
No.
I forgot to, I Friday morning I went through the program here before we went to the con, and I circled the times of the panels I wanted to go to. And then I forgot to look at the freaking program until that evening.
Yeah.
So it's a wonder I made it to any of the panels at all. Anyway, that was pretty much it. We went to say goodbye to Mr. Siegel, because we talked to him on both Friday and Saturday. So why not on Sunday? And so that was a really neat way to end the show. And I think, despite your comparison to Emerald City and your preference for that aforementioned con, you were sad, weren't you, that it was over?
I didn't want to leave. I love going to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I talked to Greg quite a bit. I don't know, I just kept going over, talking to him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think because growing up, going to Comic-Cons, there was always at least one person that we would go to talk to. And normally that was Kyle from Kirby Crackle.
Right.
And I guess because I knew of Greg Siegel and stuff a lot, because we've talked about picks and this and that. And so it's like I'm already had kind of already knew him. So I was just like, why not go talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
And since I grew up going into Comic-Con and talking to Kyle, I guess I just kind of go find one person and I just talk to them. So
So I guess when we go to Emerald City and any other Comic-Con in the future, I guess be aware, Artist Alley, that Madison may adopt you as her support person for the con.
when I'm wandering around by myself,
Mm-hmm.
I have if I'm alone, go figure out someone to go talk to. Yeah.
What I really like about Greg is he's just got such a friendly personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way he's able to converse with so many different people, right? He was talking with me on my level, and he was talking to you as a younger person. And he's very versatile and very friendly, and I just think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I love his art. So, there's that too. So
I bought 2 different Jeffs from him. So
okay. Any other thoughts about Heroes Con?
no, not really. I mean, I enjoy Comic-Con, so I thought it was fun to go to another one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to a lot of different ones. Obviously, I can't go to every single Comic-Con, but I do want to travel around to some. So it was fun to go to one I haven't been to yet.
Would you go back?
I would, yeah, especially because there's some artists there who don't go to Emerald City or Rose City. I think it's fun to go to a con where I can see people I don't normally get to.
I was going to ask you about this because Greg mentioned Dragon Con because that's a big cosplay con.
Which I really want to go to.
That was on my list. I don't know that it would is still on my list. I gotta reprioritize my comic book or my Comic Con adventures because,
I think it should be on your list.
as I said earlier, Heroes Con kind of reinvigorated my desire to go to cons. Just so you know, I'm thinking about going to the Washington State Summer Con next year.
Where's that?
That is in Puyallup, Washington, and so I hear that's an up and coming Comic Con. So if you're around at that time, we should go,
I would love to go to another Comic Con.
and we should go to Heroes Con. Not next year or anything, but in the maybe in the next 5 years we'll get back out there. All right. Anything else you want to say about Heroes Con in particular?
Um,
I'll take that as a no.
I was gonna say I can't think of anything at the moment.
All right. Great. Okay. So if anybody, like I said, if anybody has, if you were there at the con, and there were a few people, Comic Foil, whom I follow on Blue Sky, and Kevin, I think, or is it Keith? Sorry, was also there. We tried to, if we saw each other, we were going to say hi, that kind of a thing. That didn't happen, but so if you were there and you have thoughts about Heroes Con you'd like to share with us, you can do so by emailing me at longboxreview@gmail.com. You can leave voicemail or text me at 208-953-1841, or you can just message me on Blue Sky at Longbox Review. Thanks for joining me on this conversation, Madison. Everybody else, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you later. Don't forget about the live Zoom chat that I'm doing on July 27th. So please participate or send me questions or comments. So with that, talk to you later. Bye-bye.